Albayan Radio presents the following program, asking Allah that it serves as a benefit for all.
Ramadan nights on Albayan Radio.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to Ramadan Nights. We are live on this 23rd night of Ramadan. I'm your host Abu Abdurrahman, and I'm very pleased to once again be joined by my dear brother Saeed Khodary from Your Discount Chemist. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a while.
Alhamdulillah, brother Saeed is a long-time contributor to Albayan Radio. We've had many programs over the years, and he is, yes, a pharmacist from Your Discount Chemist in Greenacre on good old Baronia Road. How's that going?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Alhamdulillah. It's been pretty busy. It's good. It's been good.
Can I hit you up with the latest rumours I've been hearing in Greenacre?
Of course.
Have you heard it, yeah?
No.
They're selling that building. Is that true? Or Coles is getting out? Is that another rumour?
Not that I know of.
It always pops up, doesn't it, for some reason?
Yeah, it has been sold recently. I think for 25 million.
Yeah. The Chullora one, there's always rumours about Chullora, Woolies,
yeah.
and whatever's there now, Coles.
Yeah. No, the Coles, no, not that I know of. But
excellent.
Who knows?
So, Brother Saeed, we've had many programs over the years regarding Ramadan. During COVID, we had many programs, controversial programs.
Yes.
Can't please everyone. But we tried to do what we could do at the time.
Yes. Yeah.
And today, a very interesting topic. I don't know if you can call it epidemic, or it's widespread now, and it's spread to our youth. Vaping. Good old vaping. Before we get into it, we'd like to welcome all our viewers, all our listeners, listening on 107.9 FM in Sydney, and watching on Facebook and also YouTube. Please subscribe. Whoever would like to ask Brother Saeed a question, you can on those platforms I just mentioned in the live stream there, and also on our WhatsApp number 0481 342 582. 0481 342 582, and inshallah we'll get to your question bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Brother Saeed, vaping, why did we choose this topic?
Vaping is, I would call it an epidemic. I see it everywhere. I mean, I don't know what your experience is with it. I've got I've got a daughter who's 19 and another daughter who's 15. And they're always telling me about girls that have been caught vaping at school, and it's like, I see it. I walk past people that, blow blueberry smoke in my face. It's just a thing.
I've seen it a few times, like as brothers are entering the masjid, having a last puff before they call, is it a puff? Can you call it a puff? Is it a puff? What is it?
It's a puff. Yeah, it's a puff.
Just before they enter.
Yeah.
And a few times as well.
Yeah.
And we've heard many stories about the youth. Even in primary schools, we've heard stories about kids being suspended and the like. Back in our days, the good old, I shouldn't say good old, the cigarettes, the evil cigarettes.
The
ciggy, they were everywhere.
Yep.
And we know what's the results of cigarettes. May Allah protect us from the ill effects of them. Now, Brother Saeed, with vaping, like, where do we start? What is it? I've heard a few things being called, like e-cigarettes. I've heard.
Yep.
Are they all the same thing?
Yeah. So electronic cigarette, e-cigarettes, vapes. There's all fancy names for them. Some are called by their brand names, HQDs or I can't even remember the one. It's one of the most popular ones apparently.
HQD.
Yeah. It's all these weird, wonderful names. But yeah, basically it's what they call an e-cigarette. It's a mouthpiece. It comes with a battery and a cartridge that holds the liquid or the juice, as they call it. And then what happens? It heats the liquid, and it turns it into a vapor. So it looks like you're puffing out your vapor on a cold winter's day, when you're outside. I remember when I was a kid, we used to pretend we were smoking by, puffing out, and when it's cold and you go, and you get that vapor in the air. Same sort of thing. So, it's, that's essentially what it is. That's essentially what it is. Now, according to the World Health organization, there's about 41 million users around the world. Obviously, it's an approximate figure. But in terms of youth, if we look at in America, only back in 2020, there was 3.6 million high school students.
3.6 million. That's a lot.
3.6 million high school students who are current users of e-cigarettes, and about half of them, 1.6 million of them, use them daily. So we're talking about high school students now in America. In Australia, it's around 14% of 12 to 17-year-olds. So only that adolescent cohort reckon they've tried an e-cigarette, with about 32% of those being, relatively regular users.
That's huge.
It's massive.
And
massive.
I'm sure
12. That's 12 in 100. That's way more than cigarette users back when we were kids. Maybe you had like 2 or 3 kids in the year that you knew were cigarette smokers.
Before we discuss what's in the e-cigarette or in the vape, whatever you want to call it, I actually sat with a brother who used to vape, and I asked him about it and what he thinks of it and any advice he has. And later on, we have also, I interviewed some brothers just before Isha prayer, school kids, teenagers, about vaping and how widespread it is and what they think of it.
Okay, cool.
We'll get to that later. Let's get to the first one first. Bismillah.
Let's listen.
One sec, just a bit of a technical issue there. Get that up.
How old is this brother?
This brother is, I think he's in his 30s. So he stopped using it. He used it a while back, and he just had some advice. And he was very willing. As soon as I asked him, he actually, yes, I have some advice for it.
Yeah.
So let's listen to this. Bismillah.
Well, there's lots of negative effects of vaping. First of all, you don't know what you're getting, and it can be very addictive. And I had an experience previously, in the past where I passed out, because of vaping, because it's not like a cigarette where you might have like one cigarette and then put it out. Where with vaping, it's always in your hand, and you're puffing it and puffing it and puffing it, so you can you have something what's called a nicotine overdose, and it's very harmful. My friend was sitting with me at the time. Wallah, he got very scared. He thought maybe I had some kind of like heart attack, or he was very scared. He said I was unresponsive, and after that time, I stopped vaping. But I still see like a lot of the youth in schools and stuff. They basically can buy them from like a lot of the local tobacconists. They trade them. They think it's cool, but it's I know of people that have got actual liquid in their lungs because of vaping. There's sounds that come from their lungs from the vaping. So it's definitely not what people think there's like healthy. There's nothing healthy about vaping. It's very harmful. Alhamdulillah that I don't smoke cigarettes or do vaping, but it's definitely not a healthy alternative like people make it out to be. And the way it's done these days, it's marketed almost towards teenagers with all the fancy writing and packaging on it. They make graphics and all sorts of designs on the vapes, so the kids will get attracted to them. So it's a big problem for our youth especially, but also the adults, because obviously the youth, they just want to do whatever the adults are doing. So we have to be good examples, good role models for the youth as well, inshallah. And it is very harmful. Share.
What do you think, Brother Saeed?
Wow. It's you can't beat you if they say you want to learn from someone. You got to learn from someone who's been there and done that.
That's it.
And that's pretty scary for what happened to him, and it's pretty accurate. As we're going to go through some things, and he mentioned some very, very important points there that we're going to touch on, inshallah, as we get through
now,
this.
we discussed briefly what they are. What's in them? What are the ingredients in these e-cigarettes or these vapes? Or
so they're generally this question is part of the problem. A lot of the vapes at the moment are unregulated. So, as the brother actually mentioned, you don't really know what's in them. In that they tell you what's in them, but that's not a guarantee of what's actually in them. So we'll run through exactly what they normally have. So they normally have something called propylene glycol and glycerol. And they are mixed in with the flavors, and they come in lots of different flavors, fruity flavors, sweet flavors, you name it. I've seen it all actually.
That's what's appealing to the children, the way they market it,
yes,
with the fruity flavors and the like.
Yeah, there's cinnamon buns, there's blueberry, there's I've seen ones that are flavored on Red Bull, on energy drinks. It's it's crazy. They'll say there's no nicotine. Of course, there's nicotine in them. And some are nicotine-free. The nicotine-free ones aren't necessarily nicotine-free. And this is the problem. We don't exactly know what's in all of them. And look, a lot of these are, not to single out countries, but a lot of them are made in China, completely unregulated. And when they're heated, so we've got to remember the action of these. They're heated, so they're letting off. When these chemicals are heated, you're getting some byproducts. Yes, they're not as much as smoking, granted, we know that, but they're still harmful. You're getting things like, to heat them up. There's internally there's coils. Those coils that generate the heat are made of metals. So those metals sometimes get put into your lungs. We're talking about lead, nickel, chromium. All these things can be inhaled. There's formaldehyde. This is a known carcinogen. That's sometimes produced from the heating action of these things. And of course, there's the nicotine. Nicotine is a drug. It's not. Yes, it's if we're looking at cigarettes, there's tobacco and there's nicotine. There's no tobacco in these, but there's still nicotine. Nicotine is a drug, highly addictive, and we're going to get into the effects of nicotine, but it's completely addictive. And the amount in these cylinders, or the juices, or these cartridges, there's unregulated amounts of nicotine. It's just like, I want you to think of a bloke who's making meth in his backyard.
Ya Allah.
He's not regulating how much drugs are going into the meth, or all these kind of, and the same thing's happening with some of these nicotine producers in China and overseas, where it's completely unregulated. And these are the ones coming into the country, selling, as the brother said, unfortunately they're being sold at the tobacconists.
So just that in and of
Illegal.
itself, you not knowing what's in it should, make you stay far away from it. And even recently with the water bottles, and people being worried about, how safe it is to drink bottled water.
Yeah.
Because of the plastic and the rest of it.
Yes.
What about these things which you're
well,
inhaling?
We've got people worried about plastic bottles, but they're vaping. It's not. I think people have to understand that, because it says, like in recent testing, what they've done, they've got some e-liquids. One's labelled as nicotine free, and they found 60% of them contain nicotine. So more than half of them still contain nicotine, even though they said nicotine free. And some testing even found, and this is, I want everyone to really listen here. Some testing even found that they were contaminated with bodily fluids like urine. So they're not being made, overseas. They're not being made in places where you think they are. They're not regulated. It's not regulated overseas where in these countries that they're being made. They're not regulated. They're just pumping them out, putting them in there, and yalla, off they go all around the world. It's think about that. You've been inhaling urine and God knows what else. I can't even think about that. It's disgusting. Sorry.
That's even just thinking about that should put you off.
Yeah.
But in terms of health effects and safety concerns of these e-cigarettes. What's the main consequences of vaping, like in terms of health and safety?
So vaping, okay, so the number one is respiratory problems. So it can cause bronchitis, pneumonia, and lung damage. It still causes lung damage. And in a recent study in the American Journal of Respiratory Medicine, they found that vaping increases the risk of chronic lung disease by 30%. Now, that's still a very high amount. And we highlight these things. I mean, that may be a percentage less than what smoking would, but it's still causing damage. And I think, people have to get over this idea that it's, as the brother said, like it's a healthy alternative. It's not a healthy alternative.
I've heard that quite a bit.
Yeah, people. It's not as bad as smoking. Okay, it may not cause cancer, like smoking causes cancer, but it still causes other issues, and we're going to get through those. You're talking about pure nicotine liquid here in these things. In the purified sense of, when you look at a cigarette, it's, it'll tell you, the old Winfield Blue and the Winfield Reds, how many milligrams of this, and there's some, not that I'm advocating cigarettes by any chance, but they're at least regulated within that cigarette. There's so much regulation around cigarettes that, you know how much nicotine is in each cigarette. With this one here, as the brother said, that you don't know, and you're just constantly puffing on it. You could be ingesting milligrams and milligrams of nicotine a day without even really feeling it till it's too late.
And Allahu Alam, the long-term effects, because as you said, the studies are still early.
We're still in the early stages of this. We're still in the early stages. And so look, respiratory problems is the first one, and then addiction. These are highly addictive. More so than smoking, because we're talking about pure form of nicotine, and you can do it everywhere. And smoking, you can't smoke everywhere anymore. Here you can smoke indoors if you want to. You can smoke indoors. You're not offending anyone with the bad smell of the cigarette. You're blowing blueberry smoke in people's face. It's highly addictive, and with this it's a physical addiction, and remember, nicotine is a physical addiction. So coming off it, you will feel it. You'll go through stages of withdrawal effects with it.
Now, what about heart disease, strokes, and the like? Is it like cigarettes or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very much so.
Why I bring that up is in Australia, I was reading that number one cause of death is heart disease from the illnesses.
Correct. Yep. Normally from high cholesterol, our general bad habits that we live in first world countries like Australia. We always seem to have heart issues from
the spoiled countries.
The spoiled countries, yeah. Alhamdulillah. The spoiled countries.
The complainers.
The
whingers.
Yeah. We do it tough here. Not. But, it's...
these are blessings we're going to be asked about. This is what is scary.
Exactly.
These are blessings of Allah. And how do we thank Allah, for them? And Allah's given us a body. We should look after it,
Exactly.
We all have, issues, we all have problems, but we should try our best, to the best of our ability, to look after our bodies in the right way by consuming that which is pure, healthy, and good for us in reality.
Exactly. 100%. So vaping has been linked with increased heart attacks and strokes. And again, in the Journal of American College of Cardiology, they've found that the vaping increases the risk of cardiovascular problems by 56%. Huge. And we know that nicotine is a stimulant, what we call a central nervous system stimulant. That in itself generates, cardiac problems when you're having too much of it.
I got a comment from Sister Anna. She asked, Assalamu alaikum, brothers. She's some feedback from her. I am shocked at what I am listening to about vaping. So much corruption in the world, selling those things to people they're killing them slowly.
Sister Anna, if you do some research on what the tobacco companies did in the 70s and the 60s when they first brought it out, you'll see that it's like history repeating itself. It really is. I mean, we sort of chatted before we went online that, you know, vaping at the moment is going through almost the same thing that smoking or cigarettes went through in the 60s and the 70s, being marketed as good for your cough and all this kind of stuff, and it's it's sexy. I've seen ads from I think it was the 60s where, I think it was Marlboro, great for your cough, and I was like, wow. Did they really know back then? That's another story. But this is. I agree with her. It's pretty bad that companies are making.
We have another comment here.
Yeah.
The companies are making a killing
Yep.
at the expense of our health. And in reality, from what I read and researched trying to prepare for this program, is that, the cat is out of the bag for, if that's what the right terminology to use, for cigarettes and all the bad ill health effects it has.
Yes.
These big companies are going to come up with something new to make money. So this is just it.
Well, it's
Or one of them.
No. Well, it's funny you say that because there's already a couple of the big tobacco companies in the world. There's only maybe 4 or 5 massive ones. They've already started investing in vape products, buying out vape companies.
Yeah, we get a piece of the pie.
It's coming at the expense of cigarettes. So look, I totally agree. It is about money for the companies, but we always know that there's always going to be companies who are going to expose people for money. That's what they do. They're companies. They're out to make money. So we're talking more now. We just want to highlight that it's not as safe as people think, and especially the youth, because really, smoking never started this young. Smoking maybe started, when maybe the problem here is vapes are being used in people in primary school. It's very rare that you would have found someone smoking a cigarette in primary school back in the day. It's very rare. The problem is that it's getting in early here, and as we get through a couple of other problems, and this is one of the main things that I wanted to bring out, is that, and this is for parents to be listening to. And is that the nicotine, vaping, and the nicotine harms the developing brains of children. Kids, adolescents, they're still developing. So, children's brains, teenagers' brains, they're harmed by nicotine. They're vulnerable to addiction as well. So, they're way more easily addicted. To nicotine. It affects their mood, their memory, their concentration. It's harder for them to learn, harder for them to concentrate, learn, control their impulses, and some of these changes can be permanent. So, if you look at a pregnant woman who smokes, we know what the effects of that are. The baby comes out very small.
Yes.
That's a known thing, and you're not supposed to smoke. And it's from the nicotine. Nicotine is the drug in cigarettes and in vapes. That is the drug. A lot of the focus of cigarettes has been on causing cancer, and that's from the tobacco being lit up and burnt, and all the thousands of byproducts that happen when. That's one side of it, but nicotine is the other side of it. Nicotine is the actual drug, and that's present in both forms.
There's a question here: how much nicotine is there in the vaping device? Is there?
It varies. You don't even know. Sometimes it might be. The vaping device can be. It depends on the cartridge, and how long that cartridge is supposed to last for you. So, you've got single-use vapes, you've got refillable ones. It's really up to you, because you're the one who. People mix their own vapes as well. So there's no real. There's no real answer for that. It's sometimes it's from a few milligram But again, you can't trust the labels. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It can tell you something, but we don't actually know.
When greed is involved, you can't trust anyone.
No, and we just don't know. You really are just leaving it up to whoever's making these things, and there's no real answer to that, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
Now, maybe we'll get back into continue discussing the health effects and safety concerns of these vapes or e-cigarettes.
Yep. So as we said, it affects the memory and the concentration, and especially with kids, and also for teens and babies and fetuses, as we discussed, whose brains are still developing. It can lead to lifelong consequences. And I was only thinking when I was researching this as well, is how many kids are having a vape and then having a Red Bull with it?
Double trouble.
It's double trouble. They're getting caffeine, they're getting nicotine, both stimulants on the body. I think parents have to just be a little bit more aware about what's going on. And look, it is harder as well. I get it, because they don't smell. You don't smell it. Back in the day, if you had a cigarette, you did your best to try to hide off your clothes and off your breath and off all this. But that's really a bit harder now for So I not that this is a parenting show, but engage your kids. Find out about. I'm sure if you ask them about vaping, I think they'll tell you how widespread it is. People selling them in the toilets and everything. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
Now you buy them online from TikTok, all these kind of things. It's
online is
yeah. They're buying. People sell them on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. Where it's you just make sure your credit card's not being used to buy vapes, parents.
Now, a question: does vaping or e-cigarettes lead to smoking the normal cigarettes that we have become accustomed to, and we know how bad they are for you?
Well, there's been a lot of studies on this one, and the answer is definitely yes. It starts off with a vape, and from the studies that I've seen, between 30 to 40% higher chance of a child or a teenager moving on to smoking if they've vaped. That's pretty high.
Very high.
Pretty high. So it's a natural progression for them, to go from vaping and moving on into smoking. Unfortunately.
That's the thing. And as I said before, maybe we'll go to it now. The younger generation is being exposed to this at a much earlier age than we were ever exposed to cigarettes when we were younger. And even, I think, the last few generations, because the regulations around smoking became stricter. When we were younger, may Allah forgive us, we used to have to go get, for our elders,
yes,
they'll send us to the shops. We're like 8, 9 years old, go get some cigarette. Now,
I remember those days.
Massive fine.
Yeah.
So,
I remember that my grandmother, Allah yarhamah, she used to buy cigarettes from the pharmacy at Bankstown. I still remember it. I used to drive her there.
That's a contradiction right there. Right?
It is, yeah. I mean, I can't think. Now, in saying that, in the last, since October, because this has got out of control, it's got out of control. But like importing e-cigarettes from China and all over the seas and all over the world, nicotine liquid, which is very pure and very dangerous.
Is it poisonous?
It's completely poisonous. In fact, I'll just divert for 1 minute.
Yeah.
It's so poisonous. 1 teaspoon of the liquid, of nicotine liquid, is enough to kill a child.
Yeah.
And there has been deaths already from kids who have swallowed their parents. They've somehow got some of their, babies who have somehow got some of their vape liquid, and they've ingested it, and they've unfortunately died. It's all around the world, not just in Australia. There's been a couple of cases in Australia of that, but all around the world. So it's definitely poisonous. It's toxic in the purest of form. But what I was saying is that, in October last year, they did allow doctors to start prescribing some regulated nicotine liquid, and some pharmacies to dispense that as a way of getting off cigarettes. But look, the evidence of that is not great of helping. but it's something that the government is doing just so there's at least some regulated nicotine liquid rather than this stuff that's coming in completely unregulated. Plus, they probably want to cut off the money as well, knowing the government. But that's another story. But still, I mean, there is some, to put it out, there is some pure nicotine that's being prescribed at the moment. But that's not really what the kids are getting into. That's for people who are trying to get off smoking and go see a doctor and all that kind of thing. And it still has the issues that we've talked about. There is still that issue of harm, of actual vaping. Yeah. So whether it's a cleaned amount of nicotine, it's still nicotine at the end of the day. But yeah, the adolescents and the issues that we're having now are with this unregulated stuff from China.
I remember watching, I think it was a video online about the batteries in these vapes, if you like to call it that, actually exploding after overheating.
Yeah. They're lithium batteries, so you're not allowed to carry them when you're on the plane anymore, because they, they ask you that, you got any in your luggage, in your checked luggage, have you got any lithium batteries or battery chargers or anything like that. There's been hundreds of cases around the world about batteries exploding in people's faces, causing damage. So, 100%.
Before we speak about the effects of nicotine in and of itself, I want to get to some kids, some teenagers that we interviewed earlier on today before Aishat prayer.
Yeah.
And we asked them about vaping, how widespread it is, and this is what they said. Let's get to it, inshallah. Oh. Technical issue there.
Assalamu alaikum.
So what do you know about vaping? What do you think about vaping?
I know vaping is just like these smokes that you smoke and it's flavored. Wallahi, vaping it shouldn't be done. It has very bad side effects to the health. And it's just overall it's just not something good. It's a waste of money, waste of time.
How old are you?
19.
19. How many of the boys do you know vape?
Oh, a lot of them.
A lot of them?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Hello, next brother.
Assalamu alaikum. I think vaping ruins people's lives. It's like, it could be maybe a bit better than cigarettes, but it still include like smoking. So it's very bad for people and it ruins people's lives. It kills people. And even at schools now, it's getting very, it's like a major thing.
And how old are you?
14.
So you're in year 9?
Year 10.
Year 10, and a lot of vaping in the school?
Yeah, a lot, subhanAllah.
How old are you? Next one?
13.
13. Vaping, what do you think, good or bad?
Oh, it's very bad. It ruins your lungs.
Excellent.
I don't know much about it really, but yeah.
Many of the boys you know in your age vape?
Yeah, everyone does it.
Everyone?
Yeah.
In year 7 or 8?
Year 9.
Year 9?
Yeah.
And finally?
Assalamu alaikum. I think vaping is very bad. Makes your lungs black, heart black. It's coming like a very big thing.
Yep. And how old are you?
13.
13.
And like more than half of my year does it.
In year 8?
Yeah.
In high school?
And you see it all in the bathrooms.
In the bathrooms, huh? And does the school crack down on it or not really?
No, they don't care.
They don't care. Allah rectify affairs. Jazakumullah khairan, brothers.
Wow.
There you have it, just
Wow.
now.
Look,
A few hours ago.
That was tonight?
Yeah.
SubhanAllah.
I asked them, I didn't want to put them on the spot and say, do you vape? I don't want to do that.
No.
And on purpose, I didn't mention their names.
Yeah, that's fine.
And they were upfront with me and they told me.
Wow. Look, I know it's bad, but I didn't know it was like, it's just a thing. It's just, look, and look, look, we need, part of this discussion is, getting out an awareness and maybe, I don't know if parents understand how widespread it is. I don't know if parents understand the effects of it. And inshallah, if parents are listening, they can have it. I think they need to have a conversation with their
100%.
teenage kids. I think, you got to talk about it. There's, find out. Yes, how is it? What's it? And explain to them that it's not. It's funny that one of the brothers there mentioned, it's not as bad as smoking, and that is the general perception.
But I have heard that it's in some cases it can be worse. I've heard that before. I'm not saying from an academic point of view or a science point of view, but I've heard that before.
if we go back to the first brother, the 19-year-old who had a bad experience and passed out, if you, like I said, these cartridges of nicotine, they could have as much as 2 or 3 packets of cigarettes in them. And you don't know till you've had too much. If you're puffing away non-stop, it's the ease of use is much higher, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so, anything can be, if it's used more often, it could be worse than cigarettes. Like I said, we always tend to think of cigarettes as cancer causing. This is the main thing. That's something that happens over a long time. You don't smoke and then you get cancer straight away. Very rare. It's over, 20, 30 years, 10 years. Sometimes people don't even get cancer. We know that. But, that's one side of smoking, as we discussed earlier. That's one side. The other side of smoking is the nicotine ingestion. And the nicotine content of vapes is generally higher than cigarettes.
Maybe you can speak a bit about the effects of nicotine. Why is nicotine so bad? We hear it a lot. Why is it so bad?
Okay, so nicotine is first highly, highly addictive. Very addictive. It causes psychological dependence and it causes physical dependence. So, physical dependence, psychological dependence is, always wanting it. The physical dependence is the withdrawals that you get when you stop vaping or you stop nicotine. And, restlessness, agitation, sleep deprivation. You can't sleep properly. You have weird dreams. You're just irritable. All these things when you stop nicotine. So once you're hooked on nicotine, you're addicted. So you need it every day. You always need it, and you need more, and you need more, and you need more. That's nicotine. One of the few physical addictive drugs. There's only a few out there. There's nicotine, physically addictive, and by that again, I'll reiterate. It means when you don't have it and you're addicted to it, you'll get some side effects. Heroin and opiates, so morphine and heroin, OxyContin, Endone, all these prescription drugs as well. Physical addiction. You go without it, you'll know about it. Caffeine, as everyone's probably experiencing during Ramadan.
Yeah, I know
the headaches, all that kind of stuff. The headaches that you get, these are physical. It's a physical addiction to caffeine. Obviously, caffeine doesn't have the effects of nicotine and the opioids, but again, that's an example of physical addiction. The main one with nicotine as well, especially for kids, is, as we discussed, brain development. Teenagers' brains, they're still developing. Nicotine interferes with this. And studies have shown that nicotine exposure during adolescence, alters the development of the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is responsible. That's the part responsible in the brain for decision-making, impulse control, and other cognitive functions as well. So it has effect on your brain. It's not just it's just nicotine. It's affecting your brain, especially the young kids, because they're the ones whose brains are still developing. And learning and memory. I mean, these kids are all at school. It affects learning and memory. Studies have shown that nicotine exposure impairs working memory and cognitive flexibility, which affects your academic performance. So
it's a lot of effects there.
It's a lot of effects, and like we said, mental health. Again, mood changes. You got mood changes, increased risk of depression, anxiety, and other mental health problems as well.
Man, some more.
And then the physical effects, as we discussed as well. Respiratory. There's respiratory effects, and more so the cardiovascular. So that's the heart system. Heart. The heart circulatory system, it affects that. As we discussed earlier, 56% chance of increased cardiac vascular risk.
Wow.
And you remember, we're talking about adolescence here. We're talking about kids. Now, this is big in, even adults are doing it. I mean, it has effect on we're talking about kids. You know, a lot of my work is on kids, but it's happening to adults as well. You know, it happens to adults as well. So don't think that this is only affecting kids because I'm focusing on that. It's adults have issues as well.
More comments here, and because it's addictive, so people keep buying them. More money for the greedy ones. Especially in the capitalist system, it's all about making money, and the bigger companies and corporations making money, and sometimes
why
health effects aren't really.
So why let yourself be one of the cattle?
100%.
Why let yourself be hooked? Why let yourself be a slave to the companies? As adults, we should understand that we're being played, for this stuff. Understand that you're being played. I always, I would have liked to maybe talk to those kids and say, okay, why are you vaping? What's the benefit? Where's the benefit in vaping? What is the benefit? What makes you vape? This is the thing. It's like, why are they even doing it? What does it do? It doesn't do anything.
I honestly believe it's because everyone else is doing it and it's cool.
Of course.
That's one of the main ways. Reasons, sorry. It's
the attraction. It's social media. It's been, I've seen some of the ads of the vapes, some of the early vape ads. Man, it's, you've got nice looking girls. You've got colourful packages like the first brother, you got colourful packages. You got all these flavours that it's like, oh wow, yeah, that sounds good.
It's
Mango.
like cigarettes all over again when they used to promote them.
Yeah. That, like we said, it's history repeating itself to a new generation of kids who grew up at school knowing that smoking was bad for them. Because, for the last 20 years, you're taught at school how bad smoking is and don't do this and they know smoking is very bad. Every kid knows smoking is bad. And they're taught that at school, and obviously that message has come home and has been absorbed because smoking rates are dropping, but vaping is rising exponentially. Some of the stats that I saw in Australia from 2016 to 2019, the vape usage in kids and adults doubled. Right, they've doubled in those 3 years. I haven't got the stats from 2019 to now, but I'd be surprised if they haven't tripled or quadrupled the way it's going, just from what I've seen. I mean, look at those kids. Nearly half you got everyone does it. Everyone does it. Half the year does it. We're talking about a sample of kids that you just took this tonight from one particular place. Imagine if we extended that to all over the place. I'm sure half the kids are vaping or have tried it.
Yeah, it's high.
Anyway, it's
ask Allah to guide us and protect us.
I mean, it's
now it is like, I just remembered. I don't know if this is gonna come out of. Do you remember when we were younger? They used to sell those chocolate sticks wrapped and they used to look like cigarettes.
Yes.
Remember them? I think they banned them now. Remember? Because you used to get him. You used to.
Yes.
I don't know if there was a camel on the packet or something like that.
I used to. I don't know if I can say this on here, but I used to buy. Remember, they used to buy the musk sticks. The white ones.
That's right.
They were called fags.
Yeah.
They were called because that's if anyone listening who's not as old as me, 45.
I remember them.
46.
Yeah.
There was lollies, or if smokes were called fags in the old days. That was one of the slang terms. And you used to buy lollies called fags, and we used to pretend. Well, used to bite them. They were like musk sticks. They were white, and at the tip of them were red. And you would buy them, and they came in a packet that opened like a cigarette packet.
That's right.
And you would buy them. As kids, you would buy them.
I don't know if that's the right term to use, but that's grooming if I've ever seen it before. Getting them ready for. I don't know if you can use it for smoking. I know they use it for other stuff.
It's
just getting them ready to. Yeah, it's easy.
Getting ready to have a cigarette.
Yep. That's crazy.
Yeah. So this is just the new age way of doing these things, and now with online, you've got influencers. The day of. In this day and age of social media, you've got, there's viral trends on TikTok, on Insta, on Snap, all these things, including vapes. You got to remember, I really want, people to remember that, these influencers, they're being paid to do things. Remember that,
100%,
guys.
yeah.
Please remember that. Whether you're looking at whatever it is, whether it's vapes or whatever they're selling you, they're paid to do these things. Don't think that, they're doing it because they like it. They do it because they get paid $50,000 or $100,000 for a post. It's they're getting paid for it. That's all they care about. Not they don't care about your health. They couldn't give two hoots.
We have a question here from Sister Omar. She asks, do we know of any effects on those that already suffer from heart diseases?
I not specifically, but if we can extrapolate, if someone's already got heart disease, the doctors and the medical advice is already to try to quit smoking as quick as you can, if possible, and that's from the nicotine point of view. So if we extrapolate that to vapes, which have very high nicotine concentrations, then it would be making the cardiovascular problems or heart problems that they have worse, 100%. So again, I want people to remember vapes, cigarettes. Yes, they're different, but they still contain nicotine. A vape may not give you lung cancer. Okay, but it's still going to have all the effects that cigarettes have from the nicotine. So we need to remember that part. Just keep remembering that, because that's how you're gonna beat this thing of, it's healthier. It's not healthier. So on your heart, it's not healthier.
Very dangerous. Now, we've got another question here. Can companies take advantage of vaping and use other drugs in it to make it more addictive?
Isn't
the nicotine enough?
Nicotine's pretty addictive. I don't think we need to put anything. I don't think I don't think they need to put any more in it. Nicotine, I don't think people understand how addictive it is. It's very addictive. But of course, it's a possibility. Anything can come out of these. I mean, you don't know. Some of these unregulated vapes coming out of China, you don't know what's in them. Like we said, there's traces of urine. There's traces of metal from the coils. There's just all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, we should really keep away. If we need any more fuel to keep away, shouldn't use the word fuel. If you need any more, evidence to keep away from this kind of stuff, then I don't know what we need. It's enough. Yeah.
Again, you gotta talk to the kids. Talk to your kids. If it's again, I'm focusing on the kids and the teenagers, but talk to them. Why do they want to vape? What's the benefit of it? What's the benefit? There's no benefit except for looking cool. We need to try to get that out of their head that looking cool is what we want them to do. Or copying someone on TikTok, or blowing smoke, blowing vape in the air and making it into patterns and also,
You know that 3-letter word you said? We just got flagged for it.
Which one? Oh, bull. Did we?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It shows you how protective they are of a certain type of people.
By the radio censorship.
YouTube?
Sorry.
YouTube? TikTok. There you go.
Oh, sorry.
TikTok.
Sorry, TikTok.
No, don't worry. It's pretty clear what you were saying.
Yeah. Maybe I should just next time spell it out.
That's what it is. They have violations now by word. That's why you hear sometimes on certain clips they'll say something, a word I can't say, and very very popular in here. You get flagged straight away.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
All good.
Probably.
On a better note, we've got Salams Saeed from Barbosa. Nice name, Barbosa. Spanish,
nice.
Is it? Portuguese, Barbosa.
I think it is Spanish.
Spanish, Barbosa, tech team, Barbosa. Spanish?
Maybe we should ask Barbosa.
Barbosa, where you from, brother? Give us a location.
Give us a location.
Send me your location. Barbosa.
Have you been to Spain?
No.
I have. I've been to Granada.
Yeah, you've seen all the history there? I'd love to see it.
The Islamic history is amazing.
Yeah, the Islamic history is rich there.
It's amazing.
500 years worth.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
May Allah return us to our glories.
Ameen.
where we don't get flagged for words.
Yes. I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't realize they have like
A few other comments. This is TikTok world. Kusa.
Kawthar?
I don't want to say
Anyway.
anyone's name wrong, but
Yep.
it sounds like Kusa Bilaban. That's the person's name, Kusa Bilaban.
Nice.
Beautiful name, Kusa Bilaban. One of my favorites, Kusa Bilaban.
I love it.
Or Kusa Banadura. Kusa with
No,
tomato or
I'm
Kusa
a-
with yogurt.
I'm a kusab laban.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I love it.
Says a very clever, sweet flavors of tobacco, but it's cancerous.
Mm.
Barakallah fiki or
Yep.
fik.
Yep.
Is vaping more accessible for younger generation than cigarettes? I think we answered that
Oh,
already.
100%. This
100%.
is a problem. You can buy it online everywhere.
Just average. Salam, brother. What's worse, cigarettes or vaping? I think you spoke about that before.
Yeah. Well, look, what's worse? This is the thing. They're both bad. Look, I'm not gonna lie. Smoking is still worse, but that's by no means an endorsement of vaping. So please don't take my words as, oh yeah, the lesser of the two evils. They're both bad, and they're both dangerous. They're both addictive. But yes, smoking has that added clause of cancer. That look, we may find that vaping will do that in the end, but we still don't have enough studies on vaping. It's still new, so it's difficult to say. There's lots of ongoing research, as governments all around the world, they're scrambling to find out how bad these things are for you, or good, which we know they're not, but or how bad. So really, it's yes, smoking is still worse, but vaping, again, like I said, is still very bad.
I got apologies from the one who sent you salam. It wasn't Barbosa. It was actually Barbara Rosa.
Ah, sorry, Babs.
How'd that happen? I don't know. Anyway, Barbosa is in Colombia. Okay, in the Antioquia, I can't even pronounce it, department, Colombia. There we go. We learn
really?
things all
Who
day.
Barbara is? Or
No, that's
Barbosa?
where Barbosa is
Ah,
from.
sorry. Yeah.
So
sorry.
here, I didn't see the R.
Ah,
So
sorry.
I read Barbosa.
Okay.
But here,
That's
Barbara
from
Rosa.
Barbara Rosa.
Anyway, all good.
Hey, Barbara.
Alhamdulillah. Got a comment here from In'am, if I'm pronouncing it right. That's heartbreaking of how bad vaping is in schools. Teachers and principals need to minimize the vaping occurring in schools. Parents need to minimize exposure by reducing social media exposure the kids have.
Yeah.
Being more interactive with their child and know their friends and whereabouts. Vaping has become a social norm. If parents are doing it, for example, then kids think it's okay to do as well. Excellent comment. Barakallah feek or feeky.
Very, very good comment. And look, agree with the last point about, if parents are doing it, the kids will do it. Generally, you found that with cigarettes, if the parents smoked, the kids generally smoked, or was a much higher chance of the kids smoking as well, back in the day. So yeah, definitely that. And it is heartbreaking to know that so many kids are vaping. I'm actually still thinking about those kids, what they said.
Yeah.
Look, I knew it was bad. I think it's hard to control. They're so easily accessible. Well, you can't. The kids can. They come in those single-use ones. They can put them in their pocket. They're very slim. I think the best thing really is. I think it's going to be hard for schools to crack down on it. I mean, they go to the toilet. They're not going to follow. Yeah. Teachers aren't going into the toilets with them.
Sister Sarah says it's the government who approved it at the end of the day. Is it legal? Is vaping legal?
Okay.
Is some of it legal, or
it's?
I don't even.
What's happened with vaping is some of them have some of them have become they couldn't keep up, so some of it has become legal. But in saying that, they're still coming in illegally. So as I said, some have become legal and been able to get through a doctor and a pharmacy. But there's still lots of and you can get a permit to personally import. There's a personal import one, if you're a vapor as well, that you can get, and you can prove that it's for your own use, and you get it from all the different countries. So yes, that was done, but it's because they couldn't control what was happening. It's such and I'll use the word epidemic. It's such an epidemic that the government was just trying to. It's always been illegal, but just to sort of make themselves feel a bit better, they've said, okay, well, you can still bring it in for your own personal use, but it's still for over 18s. But as we're saying, most of the problem here is adolescents because they're just buying it online anyway. So there's lots of illegal stuff coming through. So yes, it's been legalized, but the bulk of it is still illegal.
Now, to all the brothers and sisters watching on our social media platforms like TikTok and Facebook and the like, we recommend that you subscribe to watch this podcast and future programs in better quality. Then we recommend you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Albayan Radio Australia, and download our app, Albayan Radio, on the Google App Store and the Google Play Store, and the Apple App Store. Now, wrapping up, I was reading an article on Islam QA, and I'll share it in the comments section and on the description there, where they said, to sum up, after basically discussing what we went over today, e-cigarettes should be treated in the same manner as traditional cigarettes at all levels. They are not a means of giving up smoking, as some companies suggest.
Mm-hmm.
The risk of harm is much greater than the alleged benefits. A representative of the World Health Organization's Tobacco-Free Initiative said, addressing all journalists, it is 100% wrong to issue claims that e-cigarettes offer a safe remedy that helps smokers give up the habit. He further added, these cigarettes contain a mixture of chemical substance that are very toxic. Very toxic. So I'll share the article in the comments and in the description. You can read it, and they show you why it is haram. So keep far away from it, my dear brothers and sisters. Brother Said, any further comments on vaping?
No, look, just really just reminder to parents, including myself, that just talk to your teenage kids, because they are definitely being exposed to this, and more than likely, as we've heard tonight, they've probably tried a vape.
Most likely.
Unfortunately, and speak to them about it. Talk to them about the dangers. Talk to them about, what we've discussed here, what they've, what they've seen at school, and explain to them that it is still haram, as you've pointed out.
Yeah. It is very dangerous, and really,
it's not cool. There's no benefit. There's
that's the issue. I think
there's no benefit.
The cool factor.
It's just looking cool or doing it for the sake of doing it.
Everyone else is doing it.
There's no benefit to it. There's no benefit. That's all I would.
Brother Saeed, Jazakallah khair for being with us today. We've benefited greatly from this discussion on
Thank
vaping.
You, and thanks to all the questions as well. They were very good today.
Yes, there's a few more, but we don't have time to get to them. Maybe another time. Now, anything new at the pharmacy?
No, just
I have one question from my end.
Yes, talk to me. That Ozempic
Superdrug now that we're hearing about for weight loss.
What
is it? Just maybe next time we'll talk about it in more detail. Quickly, what is it?
Ozempic, the hottest product at the moment. It seems to be something every year.
Yes.
It's very good. I've personally seen lots of really, really good results with it, with people losing weight. It's a big thing. It's a new class of drugs. It's an injection, once weekly. It's just the tip of the iceberg. There's some more coming through. There's another one coming through very soon as well that is even better than Ozempic. It's quite good. It's quite good. It's a different way of losing weight. It works on controlling your sugar levels. That's why it's used in diabetics. Essentially, it's what it was first used for.
Yes.
So it controls cravings and makes you feel full. It makes you, look, what people tell me is, I used to have this big bowl of dinner. Now I have about a quarter of it to a half, and I can't even fit another thing in.
Interesting.
Snacking disappears. We've seen really good results. So, it exciting. It's exciting for weight loss. It really is. It's, I think, it's again like anything for weight loss. It's just not about that. You've got to do other things.
100%.
You've got to do other things. You've got to get active. You've got to do things. But this is a very good tool, and very effective. Very effective. I've seen very good results.
How's the Panamax? Still $2 or not really?
$2, still $1.99.
No way.
No inflation on that one, as yet.
What, 100 tablets, is it?
100 tablets.
$2. Do they still allow us to pack the suitcases with Panamax to take to Lebanon, or not allowed anymore?
You can't do that stuff. You gotta take it in normal quantities, 1 or 2 at a time.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
They were stocking up before, huh? Do you remember that?
Yeah, unfortunately, it was a thing that used to happen. It's but look, that's another story.
Yeah, what was even worse?
Lebanon is another
back
story.
in the day when they used to serve cigarettes on the Sainiya, on the tray. You remember that?
I do.
That's how old we are. I don't think the youth remember that.
No. I look, I remember the days when our uncles and my aunties would come over and you would dayif, who doesn't speak Arabic, that's serve cigarettes. We had all the, I still remember what my uncles used to smoke and what my aunties used to smoke. Winfield Reds for this, and Winfield Benson Hedges for him, and
Benson Hedges.
Winfield,
cricket as well.
Cricket. The cricket
they
was
used to
Benson
sponsor the
Hedges,
cricket.
yeah.
Winfield Cup. They used to sponsor the
Winfield
rugby
Cup,
league.
Yep.
Good old Belmore Sports Ground was at the top there for those who remember.
Yeah, the Winfield. I mean, it shows you how far we've come with smoking, but now we've just got this new problem.
100%. That's why I was mentioning that. And we encourage all our brothers and sisters to educate themselves about it.
Yeah.
Speak to their children about it.
Yeah.
Be upfront with them.
Yes. 100%.
And also institutions, schools, sports clubs, wherever you may be, mosques. I think we need to take more of a do more about educating one another about this.
100%,
Awareness.
100%. It's a new technology, really. So the Mashiach maybe don't even know how bad this is. Maybe the Mashiach don't know how bad of a problem this is. They'd be horrified to hear that.
100%.
They'd be horrified because if you told the Sheikh, or if you told the elders, look, half the year 9s are smoking, that would generate a massive response. True. The other thing I'll point out is if you do vape and you want to quit, do it slowly. So if you're an adult, and you're gutsy enough, speak to your doctor about it, because going cold turkey is not that easy, man. So
it's hard.
It's you're going to be in for some tough times. So it's not that easy getting off it, especially if you've been vaping for a long time consistently. So get some medical advice if you want, from the pharmacist or the doctor. But and as you said, I just can't say it enough. Parents speak to their children.
Barakallah Feek, Brother Saeed. I'd like to thank all the brothers and sisters who contributed on YouTube and Facebook, all those on TikTok as well. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Albayan Radio Australia. And one more comment from Mo or Muhammad, who's better. The cigarette on the Sainiya, and he had the laughing emoji. Everyone remembers that in our age group.
That. Yeah. It's on your Maui.
The Bulldogs, huh? Where do we start? The Bulldogs. I don't know what the Bulldogs are doing. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Barakallah Feekum, dear brothers and sisters. We will be on 107.9 FM until after Eid. Albayan Radio will be on 107.9 FM until after Eid. So please tune in, download our app, Albayan Radio, and continue watching and listening to all our programs. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa